A woman named Crystal McDowell vanished without a trace. Her sudden disappearance and tragic end will leave you questioning everything. Don't miss out on this heart-wrenching mystery. Watch now. Crystal McDowell's life was marked by immense adversity and turmoil from the very beginning. Born to parents who, ironically, named her after the drug crystal meth, Crystal's childhood was anything but ordinary. Tragically, at just 11 years old, Crystal lost both her parents to AIDS after they contracted the disease from their battle with substance abuse. This left her orphaned and alone, forced to navigate life without the guidance and protection of her parents. As she entered her teenage years, Crystal faced even more hardships. She was abducted by a man and held captive in a chicken coop where she endured several days of sexual assault. Despite the unimaginable trauma, Crystal showed incredible strength and resilience, managing to escape her captor. She eventually found refuge with her aunt and uncle in Baytown, Texas, where she sought to rebuild her life. Crystal was determined to overcome her past. She worked tirelessly to rise above the abuse she had endured and to create a better future for herself. In Baytown, she met Steve McDowell, a man known for his playful nature, love of video games, and fast cars. Steve's sweet, kind, and humorous personality quickly won Crystal's heart. Her friends saw how happy Steve made her, and they believed the two made a perfect couple. Crystal worked as a flight attendant with ExpressJet, allowing her and Steve to travel frequently across the country. The couple married, and together they had 2 children, Madden and Maui. Crystal was a devoted mother, putting her children's happiness and well-being above all else. To outsiders, Crystal and Steve seemed like the ideal family, happy, well-adjusted, and carefree. However, beneath the surface, Crystal began to feel increasingly dissatisfied with her marriage. After 10 years, Crystal made the difficult decision to end her relationship with Steve. Steve, resistant to the idea of divorce, tried to keep their family intact. During the process, Crystal continued to live with Steve and their children while waiting for her new home, which was being remodeled. This created a strained and emotionally taxing situation for everyone involved. By 2017, Crystal, now 37, had made significant strides in her life. She had transitioned into a career in real estate, marking a fresh chapter for herself. As she prepared to move into her new home, she was hopeful for the future. On August 25, 2017, she planned to meet with family to watch the much-anticipated Mayweather-McGregor fight. However, Crystal never showed up. At first, no one was overly concerned. She was a busy working mother, and perhaps she was just running late or had encountered unforeseen circumstances. But as time passed and Crystal failed to respond to messages and calls, worry began to set in. After more than 24 hours without any word from her, her family contacted the Chambers County Sheriff's Department to report her missing. A deputy was dispatched to Crystal's home to question her ex-husband, Steve. Steve, who had recently divorced Crystal, told the deputy that she had begun a new relationship after their separation. He mentioned that there were nights when Crystal would disappear without informing him. Although cooperative, Steve's tone and demeanor seemed unusual to the deputy, raising suspicions. The detective, now involved in the case, also noted an odd detail. Steve still wore his wedding band, despite being divorced for 6 months. This fact piqued the detective's curiosity, and with increasing doubts about Steve's story, further investigation was launched. The district attorney, after reviewing the reports, suspected foul play. One of the key points of concern was the fact that Crystal and Steve were divorced but still living together, which seemed suspicious in light of the fact that Crystal had a new boyfriend. The investigation led the authorities to Paul Hargrave, Crystal's new boyfriend. Paul, a local man who managed a well-known jewelry store, had been with Crystal on the night of August 24, 2017. According to Paul, they had spent time together, and Crystal had returned to his house with him. However, the following morning, while Paul was in the shower, Crystal left his home. Surveillance footage from the morning of August 25 showed Crystal getting into her black Mercedes coupe and driving away. As the investigation deepened, detectives discovered that Crystal had been involved in multiple extramarital affairs during her marriage, which added complexity to the case. But despite these discoveries, no clear link was found between her affairs and her disappearance. The case hit a significant roadblock when Hurricane Harvey struck Baytown, flooding the region and diverting resources from the investigation. While the authorities focused on search and rescue efforts, Crystal's case went cold. However, her family refused to give up. They took to social media, spreading the word about Crystal's disappearance. A potential lead surfaced when a friend sent a Snapchat image showing Crystal's car parked at a Motel 6 near Interstate 10. After confirming the car's license plate, Crystal's family contacted the police, and despite the flooded roads, they used airboats to reach the motel. There, they found Crystal's car abandoned in the parking lot with the keys still in the ignition. The car was towed for processing, but no significant evidence was found to explain her disappearance. The case went through various twists and turns, with multiple polygraph tests conducted. Both Steve and Paul failed their lie detector tests, which only deepened suspicions about their involvement. However, despite mounting evidence, the search for Crystal's body proved difficult. After months of effort, the Texas Rangers were called in to assist with the case. They found security camera footage showing Steve parking Crystal's car at the motel, and they noticed his actions at a nearby gas station, further linking him to the disappearance. The investigation into Steve intensified when footage from Walmart revealed a man resembling Steve purchasing a bicycle shortly after Crystal's car was abandoned. This evidence led detectives to suspect that Steve was indeed responsible for Crystal's disappearance. He was confronted with the evidence, and, after much interrogation, Steve confessed. He'd admitted to an argument with Crystal, which escalated when she revealed she no longer loved him. In a moment of impulsive rage, Steve suffocated Crystal, claiming that he never intended to harm her. After her death, he took her body and disposed of it in a remote ravine. Despite Steve's confession, the investigation was far from over. The authorities worked tirelessly to find Crystal's remains, and eventually, Steve led them to her body. Her remains were in a horrific state, barely recognizable. Steve was arrested and charged with her murder. The defense attempted to argue that Crystal's death was a result of sudden passion, but the jury rejected this defense, finding Steve guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 50 years in prison for the crime. Crystal's family finally received some measure of closure after years of uncertainty. The case, though tragic, highlighted the resilience of those who loved her, and it was a bittersweet victory for those who sought justice for her untimely death. Don't let this story slip through your fingers. Crystal McDowell's chilling disappearance is only the beginning of the shocking secrets we're uncovering. You won't want to miss our next video, where we dive into another mind-boggling case. A woman goes missing from her birthday party, and her body is later found in a suitcase. Trust us, this one will keep you up at night. Make sure you're the first to know the truth. Subscribe to our channel now and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest mysteries we're exploring. Get ready, because the next chapter is even more jaw-dropping than the last. Stay tuned and don't miss it.